You can't hear me?
No, we couldn't suddenly.
Can you hear me now?
Very little.
Can you hear me now?
Not well.
It's a little bit muffled.
Is this better now?
Yeah.
Yeah, better now. Okay, great. So I'll start again. Well, thank you all very much indeed for joining us today on this call, which is to present the 4th edition of the Venice Glass Week, which is the international festival dedicated to the art of glass, which will be taking place here in Venice, Murano and Mestre from the 5th to the 13th of September. My name is Camilla Purden, and I work as the festival coordinator for the organizing committee, which is made up of 5 institutions and organizations that are very closely connected with the world of glass here in Venice, starting with Le Stanze del Vetro and the Fondazione Georgio, the Fondazione Musei Civici, which is Venice's Civic Museums Foundation, the Istituto Veneto di Scienze, Lettere ed Arti, the Consorzio Promovetro Murano, which is Murano's Glass Consortium, and the Comune di Venezia, which is the Venice's City Council. Today, we are joined by 2 representatives of those organizations on the organizing committee, starting with David Landau, who is a trustee of Pentagram Stiftung and a founder, together with the Giorgio Foundation, of Le Stanze del Vetro on the island of San Giorgio Maggiore. We also have with us Luciano Gambaro, who is president of the Murano Glass Consortium and a member of the festival's organizing committee. We also have Jean Blanchard, who is representing the festival's curatorial committee. We also have Dan Tolson, who's director of the Department of Modern Decorative Art and Design for Bonhams Auction House in New York, which is a sponsor of the festival for the 2nd year running and supporter of the official festival prize, the Bonhams Prize for the Venice Glass Week. And finally, we have Marcantonio Brandolini Dada, who is also a member of the festival's curatorial committee. Through his company Laguna B, is a sponsor of the festival this year and is also supporting a new prize for the festival this year, which is the Autonoma Residency Prize, which we'll hear about in due course. Luciano is being joined by an interpreter, Marta, who very kindly will be helping us with the Italian and English today. So just before we kick off, I think just a couple of technical points. We really welcome you to ask any questions if you're connected via Zoom on the chat section. Hopefully that's evident to you all where it is. If you type your question, at the end of the conference, I will go through them all and will do my best to direct the questions accordingly to the members of the committee. And also just to let you know that this conference is being streamed live on the Venice Glass Week YouTube channel and being recorded. So if you're participating as a spectator in the call and you'd rather not have your face and video on that call, just kindly switch off the video function and your name will appear. So thank you all very much indeed for joining. And I think we might start with passing the word over to David Landau, who, as I mentioned, it was actually his concept in the first place to start the Venice Glass Week. And as a fundamental member of the organizing committee, David, maybe you could say a few introductory words about the festival.
Thank you. Well, welcome all. First of all, I should explain what that very mysterious attribution I have, trustee of the Pentagram Stiftung. I am a trustee of Pentagram Stiftung, which means that I am a trustee of a foundation, a Swiss foundation, that was set up by my wife and myself about 10 years ago to further the research and appreciation of 20th and 21st century glass. So the only thing we do is try to support studies and appreciation through exhibitions of 20th and 21st century glass for the whole world. And we've done that, as Camilla has already mentioned, by opening the Stanze del Vetro, which is an exhibition space on the island of San Giorgio in Venice, where we have 2 exhibitions a year, and where we've had so far more than 1.25 million visitors in the last 7.5 years. And so we've been fairly successful. And also by starting a Center for the Study of Glass, of modern glass, which is something that didn't exist before, setting up a very large library and acquiring inventories and archives from Murano glassmakers of the 20th and 21st century. And we now have several hundred thousand drawings, photographs, documents, and so on and so forth. But I'm not here to talk to you about the Stanza del Vetro, specifically about the Venice Glass Week. First of all, I think the first thing I should tell you, which is probably something that you would welcome to hear, is Venice is a safe place. We haven't had any live cases for several weeks now. The city is slowly going back to normal. Hotels opening every day. The Gritti, which is just outside my windows, has opened 2 weeks ago, and restaurants are open. I go to a restaurant almost every day, and because I'm craving to go out, and they are open, and the food is as delicious as ever. There are fewer tourists than there used to be, but Germans, Austrians, Swiss are coming back, and French. I had French in the streets now. So things are slowly coming back to normal. And the museums have reopened. Oh, not all of them, but some of the museums, the state museums have reopened. Some of the city museums have reopened. Palazzo Grassi and the Dogana, the Pinot exhibition spaces have reopened. So a lot of things. The Treocchi has reopened yesterday. So Venice is going back to normal, and we trust that by the 5th of September, everything will be really back to normal, unless we have nasty surprises, which we don't hope we have, obviously not to have. I suppose most of you know already what the Venice Glass Week is. It started in 2017. Camilla was kind to remind you that it was my idea. It seemed to me mad not to have a festival of glass in the place in the world where glass was practically born, and where it has been a business for many people, many families for 1,000 years. And there are some families who've been working at it for 1,000 years and are still there at it. So it is now this is only the 4th year, but in this very, very short time has become the most important glass festival in Europe. And I think we are proud of that. And we are proud of the fact that Venetians and Muranese are squarely behind it, and that as experience has shown, people come from all over the world, probably not this year, but they have come from all over the world in previous years. Last year, we had 103,000 visitors. We had 180 events. It was a real kermesse of glass lovers from all over the world. This year is, as I said, we don't expect to have as many foreign visitors, particularly not from America, although you never know what happens between now and then, but certainly not from some parts of America. But it's going to be, I think, equally exciting. We are going to start with exhibition at the Stanza on the 5th, which will open on the 5th, and which will be on American studio glass, the American studio glass movement, and its origins in Venice. All the great masters of American studio glass started in Venice. They came, like De Chihuly, to name the most famous, came to Venice, to Murano, to learn their craft. And then they invited two great masters like Tagliapietra and Signoretto to come and teach in America. And generations of American glassmakers have been taught these techniques. And in fact, our exhibition will cover the whole period from about the late 1960s until now, where there's still many important studio glass artists in America who use absolutely Venetian techniques. And so it will an exhibition that goes from that will cover the last 60 years. But this obviously is not the only thing that will happen. And we have a huge plan to entertain our visitors. There will be many other exhibitions, not only ours, obviously. There'll be conducted tours, there'll be symposia, seminars, prize-giving ceremonies. There are going to be video and film projections. There will be didactic activities. We are very, very keen on didactic activities for the grown-ups and particularly for children. And we have taught a lot about the terminology of glass and the pleasure of looking and touching glass to young children over the last few years, particularly during the Venice Glass Week events. There'll be visit to furnaces, and obviously, and this is very important for all of you, there'll be a marathon through all the furnaces of Murano. So all of you who are not quite fit as yet for it, I'm sure can get ready for the 5th of September when they start, when they'll run through the marathon, through the all the factories in Venice. So we know that the public this time is likely to be more Italian than it has been in the past, but we will make sure to make them as excited and as new lovers of glass as we all are. And I'm sure it is going to be a great success.
Thank you so much, David. Yes, in terms of numbers, it's true this year we have at least 150 different events taking place all over Venice and Murano and Mestre as well on the mainland. The event that David was talking to, the marathon, don't worry, it's not a full marathon. It's actually a 5-kilometer route, but it's certainly hotter than most marathons. It's an incredible event. It's a nighttime run that takes place around the candlelit streets and up and over the bridges of Murano, taking children and adults into these floodlit furnaces, which are lit up, and inside you get to see the magic of glass going on, being made by night. So that is a very special event. So yes, 150 events proposed by around 120 different participants. So ranging from foundations and museums to individual artists and furnaces and beyond. As David said, we have a very rich and diverse array of events this year, but it's also, of course, important to explain that this year is no usual year, and 2020 is, of course, very particular for obvious reasons. And so perhaps what might be helpful now is if I pass over to Luciano Gambaro, who's, as I mentioned, the president of the Murano Glass Consortium, to tell us a bit about the spirit and of this year's edition in particular, the message of the festival, and maybe explain a little bit about why we've chosen to give the festival a title this year. It's a hashtag title, the Heart of Glass, the Heart of Glass. And Luciano, when you're talking about that, maybe explain a little bit about the mission that we have this year, which really is to place a special focus on the making of glass, take us back to the heart of glass in Murano, the production of glass, and really that we're striving to reignite or ignite a love of and appreciation of glass amongst the public. So, as I mentioned, Luciano has with us today Marta, who is kindly going to translate. So Marta, maybe you could kindly recap for Luciano, and then he can take it away.
Sì, grazie Marta, se vuoi procedere, ho capito bene o male quello che mi ha detto Camilla, possiamo procedere pure.
Okay, I have fully understood what Camilla has just said, so I can start my speech then, my presentation.
Buongiorno a tutti, intanto, buon pomeriggio, meglio. E come evidenziato giustamente prima il dottor Landau e adesso Camilla, la nuova edizione di The Venice Glass Week prende le mosse dal successo ottenuto nello scorso anno, nel 2019, quando 103.000 visitatori hanno affollato Venezia e Murano per partecipare agli oltre 200 eventi dedicati al vetro artistico proposti in più di 100 diverse sedi.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. As Mr. Landau has already highlighted, the new edition of the Venice Glass Week builds on the success obtained in 2019 when 103,000 visitors participated, traveled to Venice, Murano, to take part in over the 200 events dedicated to artistic glass staged in more than 100 different locations.
Sì, quindi la quarta edizione si prepara ad essere diversa dalle precedenti, purtroppo per forza di cose, ma non tanto nella quantità o nella qualità della sua offerta culturale quanto nello spirito dell'iniziativa.
Therefore, the fourth edition is set to be different from the previous editions, and not in terms of quantity or quality of the program and the cultural offer, but in the very spirit of the initiative.
Sì, la ragione appunto scaturisce naturalmente da quello che purtroppo è successo a Venezia, ma è successo un po' in tutto il mondo a partire dalla fine di febbraio, che però ha particolarmente colpito Venezia, mettendo in crisi i comparti turistico-culturale che sono l'asse portante del business veneziano, facendo un doloroso stop durato parecchi mesi tutte le attività produttive, in primis naturalmente anche quella del vetro di Murano, diciamo anche affaticando una situazione già compromessa per altri motivi che poi, se volete, spiegheremo.
Well, the reason behind this decision is obviously due to the pandemic that swept the world at the beginning, starting from the beginning of February, and that struck Venice in particular, generating a crisis in the tourism and cultural sectors, and forcing to a stop in for many business, to a lockdown for many business that lasted for long months. And this affected also the Murano glass sector, which was already challenged by the global competition. Therefore, due to this situation, the impact was even stronger.
Quindi questa quarta edizione, diciamo, sarà più sobria e più focalizzata sulla produzione artistica muranese, grazie anche all'offerta di alcune nuove iniziative per il pubblico prodotte direttamente dal festival. La missione del Festival 2020 è in primis quella di far riappassionare gli italiani, anche i nostri concittadini veneziani, ad un'arte antica ed un orgoglio che non è solo di questa città, ma è dell'intero paese e anche, diciamo, riconosciuto in tutto il mondo, perché il vetro di Murano, non dimentichiamo, è uno di quei brand che rende orgoglioso il nostro paese. E quindi appunto è un'arte antica, è un orgoglio dell'Italia, come dicevo prima, che ha una grande vocazione internazionale, perché il vetro di Murano è conosciuto nel mondo da moltissima gente.
Therefore, the fourth edition of the Venice Glass Week will be more sober and will focus more on the artistic production, Muranese artistic production, thanks to a series of new initiatives for the public produced directly by the festival. Well, the main mission for the 2020 festival is reignite the passion for this ancient art into Italians and our citizens, Venetian citizens. So the mission is reigniting the passion for this ancient art, which is a real pride for Italy and is known all over the world, without forgetting the international scope of the festival, which has been very much appreciated by an international audience in the previous editions.
Quindi per continuare a parlare, diciamo, a queste persone che con più difficoltà purtroppo potranno essere a Venezia a settembre, si è pensato innanzitutto di dare un titolo a questa quarta edizione di The Venice Glass Week, un titolo intuitivo in lingua inglese che va appunto sotto il nome hashtag The Art of Glass, in grado appunto di comunicare a tutto il mondo il ritorno all'origine, al cuore del vetro e quindi al cuore di Murano.
To continue this dialogue with people far away and who will experience some difficulties in traveling to Venice this next September, we first of all thought to give this fourth edition of the Venice Glass Week an intuitive title in English that comes in the form of a hashtag. The title is The Heart of Glass. And it is obviously communicating to everyone and the return to the roots of this ancient art.
E quindi il programma delle manifestazioni prevede, oltre che alle tradizionali eventi previsti in città, una serie di iniziative digitali per consentire di partecipare nello spirito inclusivo che ha sempre contraddistinto il nostro festival, anche chi non potrà raggiungere di persona Venezia.
Therefore, besides the traditional events that usually take place in town, in the city, the program will offer a series of digital events to enable everybody to participate in the real spirit of inclusiveness that has always characterized this festival. Therefore, even those who will not be able to travel to Venice will be able to take part in this event.
If you're lucky enough to be in Venice at the moment, you might have seen around the streets at the moment, we've got a fantastic visual communications campaign that's just kicked off. Posters all over the walls, which show this year the hands of some of the glass masters on Murano that are hard at work in the furnaces. After this conference, I know that we'll be sharing with all of you who are participating the press kit and also the imagery in case you haven't had a chance to see them. But maybe, Marta, you could ask Luciano to explain a little bit about why that particular visual communications campaign is being used this year.
Sì, esatto, come dicevo prima, il Festival 2020 promuove specificatamente un ritorno alle radici, al cuore, che appunto è esplicito anche nel titolo, è scritto in forma di hashtag, quindi hashtag The Art of Glass, a indicare lo sviluppo anche digital delle iniziative organizzate. E si concentra sull'aspetto più importante e basilare dell'intero comparto, il fare il vetro, quello che Murano lo ha reso famoso in tutto il mondo. Un sapere che ha una tradizione antichissima, radicata nel DNA di Venezia, ed è un po' il motore artistico e produttivo che si è tramandato fino a oggi, innovandosi e diventando, come dicevo prima, un orgoglio non solo veneziano ma italiano, apprezzato in tutto il mondo.
The 2020 festival promotes a return to the roots, as I said before, a return to the heart, which is also expressed through the title that, as we explained, takes the form of an hashtag, the Heart of Glass, and it expresses the development that is also digital development of the initiatives organized for the festival, and it will concentrate especially on the most important aspect of this whole sector, which is glass making. Which made also Murano famous in the world. It's a knowledge based on ancient traditions that is embedded in Venice's DNA. It's the real artistic and productive drive which has retained to this day, innovating and becoming a real Italian pride, appreciated all over the world.
Ed è proprio sulle mani degli artigiani che abbiamo focalizzato l'immagine. Gli artigiani che modellano una materia informe e infuocata, creando quasi per magia oggetti luminosi, perfetti, e in tutto questo si focalizza proprio la campagna di comunicazione e visual della quarta edizione di The Venice Glass Week.
And we concentrated especially on this concept, the hands of glass masters that shape a shapeless and burning material, creating as if by magic luminous and perfect objects. And therefore this is the main focus of the communication campaign for this 4th edition of the Venice Glass Week.
Sì, quindi la designer Cristina Morandin, che ha curato per noi le pubblicazioni, ha riadattato per i manifesti 2020, che vi ricordo sono in affissione da metà di giugno, una selezione di immagini scattate nelle fornaci e nei laboratori di Murano durante la scorsa edizione del festival, mettendo l'accento proprio sull'atto della creazione.
The graphics were created by a graphic designer, Cristina Morandin, who adapted some of the images that were taken in the previous edition of the festival. These images were taken in furnaces and laboratories. So she adapted these images for the posters of the 2020 edition, posters who have been bill posted since the past 15th of June. And therefore, these images really concentrate on the act of creation.
Sì, quindi riaccendere la curiosità del pubblico per la magia creativa del fare vetro è importante oggi più che mai, ed è in grado di esercitare un fascino senza tempo su persone di tutte le età, estrazione sociale e soprattutto provenienza.
Well, reigniting, reviving the curiosity of the public for this creative magic, the magic of making glass, or glass making, is more important than ever today. And obviously it is fascinating seeing that. And it fascinates people of all ages, from all social levels and from all origins.
Thank you so much, Luciano and Marta. Now it would be great to pass over to Jean Blanchard, who, as I mentioned, is one of the members of the Venice Glass Week's curatorial committee. Jean, maybe you could tell us a little about some of the key highlights of the festival that we're able to share today. If you haven't turned on your microphone, Jean, you need to do so now.
Can you hear me?
We can now. Perfect.
All right. Dear friends connected from all over the world, good afternoon. First of all, I want to tell you that the list of all participants and the final program of the festival will be presented during the second press conference at the end of August. This year, hundreds of applications for participation have been submitted and then reviewed and selected by the curatorial committee, chaired by Rosa Barovier-Mentasti, glass historian, and composed, beside myself, by critic and curator Isabelle Reyet, art journalist Uta Klotz, director of Neue Glas, German magazine, and university professor Marco Zito, and young Venetian artist and glass entrepreneur Marcantonio Brandolini D'Adda. The applications coming from foundations, art galleries, museum, culture institutions, university, but also glassworks, furnaces, companies, artists, and private Italian and foreign collectors confirmed, even in time of great difficulties, such as that caused by COVID-19, the great liveliness of the artistic, cultural, and productive scene in the city, and the attractiveness of such a fascinating theme even abroad. I cannot yet go into the details of the participants, but I can give some advance information on the novelties of this fourth edition. In particular, I want to point out that the Venice Glass Week 2020 will offer both special initiatives for visitors coming to Venice in September and an original program of digital events of great interest for those who won't be able to attend the festival this year. The Venice Glass Week will also organize Conversations on Glass 2020, a program designed to involve an international audience. 6 digital conversations in English realized in collaboration with Apice, one of the most prestigious art transport companies, which will be broadcast live in Venice Glass Week YouTube channel during the festival in September. The appointments, thanks to intervention of important international speakers, will introduce a reflection on the world of glass. Various themes will be covered, from the relationship between glass and contemporary art to the impact of Murano glass in the world, without forgetting the collectors. The Venice Glass Week is also organizing another program of digital appointments, the Venice Glass Week Tour Live, a series of glass-making demonstrations streamed live on Instagram from furnaces and workshops to enter the backstage, the places where glass is worked, and give voice to the masters at work. The live shows are realized in collaboration with Nexa, a Venetian agency specialized in high-level events. Nexa is partner of the festival. During the broadcast, Nexa's professional guides will act as narrators for the online glass-making demonstration, explaining in real time what the masters are creating. Even this year, one of the key centers of the event will be the Venice Glass Week Hub, which will be held in Campo Santo Stefano at the Istituto Veneto di Scienze, Lettere e Arti in Palazzo Loredan. The project, which was very successful in the latest years, offering the public a selection of work by national and international artists, is now more consistent and extensive than in the previous editions. The Hub Under 35 will be held for the first time on the ground floor of Palazzo Loredan, thanks to the sponsorship of Laguna B. It will exhibit the works of Italian and international young artists and designers under 35 in a dedicated space. This is a sign of the attention that the festival wants to dedicate to new generations. Only artists and designers under 35 will be considered for the new Autonoma Residency Prize. Sponsored by Autonoma in association with the American Pilchuck Glass School, which will allow the winner to participate in a 2-month residency at the Pilchuck Glass School in Seattle, USA in 2021. Moreover, the 2020 edition will confirm the official prize of the festival, the Bonhams Prize for the Venice Glass Week, to which all participants will be considered as candidates. The prize will be given to the best project of the festival, thanks to the sponsorship of the Department of the 20th Century Decorative Arts and Design in New York of the auction house, Bonhams, one of the main sponsors of the festival. Well, that's a line of what it will happen.
Thank you so much, Jean. That was really helpful. Just picking up on what you were mentioning about the Instagram lives, the Venice Glass Week tours by Nexa, particularly interesting maybe for the international listeners at the moment. The next live is going to be on Monday, the 20th of July, in English, and that'll be at 11:30 a.m. Central European time. The reason we choose an early slot, unfortunately, perhaps for those in America, but we have to follow the timings of the furnaces, and especially in these hot summer months, furnaces tend to start quite early. In fact, I don't know if any of you happen to be following the Venice Glass Week on Instagram already, but if you do, you might have seen that today's live, which was fantastic, in the furnace of Barovier e Toso, which is one of the oldest furnaces in Murano. They've been operating for a mind-boggling 7 centuries in the field of glass, founded in 1295, and known particularly around the world, even today, for their expertise, especially in chandeliers. On Monday, however, we go from one end of the spectrum to another. We've got Wave Murano glass with the young glass master Roberto Beltrami, who is one of the very youngest masters in Murano, and his company was founded in 2017. So these are appointments which allow even those who aren't able to be here physically to come and appreciate the magic of glass making from their homes. Now, though, I think it might be a good idea to hand over to Dan Tolson, who's joining us from New York. Thank you so much, Dan.
Hello. Good afternoon, everybody.
As the director of the Modern Decorative Art and Design Department of Bonhams, it would be great if you could give us a little bit of context about the Bonhams Prize, and also perhaps touch on your experience, because you were here with us last year in person during the festival as a member of the Bonhams Prize jury. So yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, I just wanted to just start off by saying what a huge honour it is for Bonhams to be sponsoring the second Bonhams Prize at Venice Glass Week, following on from the inaugural edition that took place last year. Bonhams as a company, we've had a decorative art and design department for almost 40 years. So we've been at the heart of the international design market for those 40 years. We hold biannual auctions in Los Angeles, in London and New York as well. And I mean, this year has been particularly challenging with COVID-19, and you know, we've all had to adapt to sort of finding new ways to you know, to still continue to serve clients and collectors. So it's been, you know, a very interesting year for us, as it has been, I think, for many businesses and also for the festival as well. The really exciting thing for us about the Bonhams Prize and about Venice Glass Week is that it not only pays a testament to the heritage and the rich history of Murano and Venice, but it's also an opportunity with the Bonhams Prize to really celebrate contemporary makers and projects and studios. So for me, that's really the real sort of motivation, is that, you know, we have an opportunity to really celebrate what's happening now on the island. And this really ties in with the Bonhams philosophy that we want to celebrate excellence and talent and innovation in design and the decorative arts. I was in Venice last year for the festival, and I was representing Bonhams as one of the prize judges, along with Jeanne and Giovanni Palandri, the Chancellor of the Istituto Veneto di Scienze. And I awarded the prize in person on behalf of Bonhams during the ceremony. Actually, Jeanne and Giovanna were the most amazing guides during my time in Venice. But at times they were very hard to keep up with. I think, David, talking about the Venice Marathon this year, I think it was a similar experience, I think, last year. But although I've been to Venice and Murano many times before on business and as a tourist as well, I didn't really appreciate the depth to Venice and Murano, the number of makers and studios, the number of creatives on the island. So for me, that was an incredible discovery. And again, the prize is this fantastic opportunity that we have to really cast the spotlight on what's happening today in Venice. I was also stunned, you know, by the sheer number of glass studios and artists who were operating today. And I think it really highlights the fact that Venice and Murano is really, they're two of the most vibrant artistic regions on the planet today. And I think they're as relevant today as they were 1,000 years ago. But as I was saying earlier, we've, as a company and the auction industry as a whole, we've had to all learn new skills. We've all had to adapt and produce online sales. And this is something we've been working with now for the past 3 months. We actually had our first online-only sale in Los Angeles at the end of March. And we had an auctioneer who was in New Bond Street in Mayfair in London. And we had phone bidders who were all over the United Kingdom and also across the US. And the auction itself was in Los Angeles. So it was a truly global auction, and it really, the first auction we've had of that particular kind. So as I mentioned earlier, I think we're all learning these new skills and new ways to reach our clients and collectors. But I think really, you know, the main positive notes that we've experienced in the past 3 months is that the market and the interest in design and glass and collecting glass is as strong now as it ever was. So the market is really fantastic at this moment. We're actually organizing an auction this July in New York, and we have a collection of works by Laura de Santillana coming up in that sale. So so that will also be an exciting moment for us. I think my experience when I was over at the festival last year, another huge thing for me that I noticed was how, you know, the island is relatively small, and you have such a huge concentration of collectors and enthusiasts. And I think in the week that I was there, I bumped into all my most major European and American clients and collectors. And I think over a sort of 2 to 3 day period, I probably bumped into more of my New York clients than I would have done walking around Manhattan for 6 months. So again, it's a wonderful place just to connect with clients and collaborate with artists and other collectors. In conclusion, Venice and Murano have obviously faced some huge challenges this year, obviously with the floods and then on with COVID as well. But I think really, again, for Bonhams, you know, we're delighted that we can offer some support and shine a light on the glassmaking community of Venice and Murano. And we hope that we can help by sponsoring the prize and to help contribute to Venice and the cultural heritage of the island.
Thank you so much, Dan. Yeah, it was wonderful that you were able to be here last year, and I think you would agree that the Bonhams Prize ceremony last year felt like the Oscars in the wonderful atmosphere. The prize last year was won by the Barbini family of mirror makers, and honestly, it was such a fantastic response. This year, of course, it is a slightly different spirit for the festival, and as Luciano mentioned, perhaps the spirit is slightly more sober, understandably. But as you were saying, it's especially in light of the difficulties, the challenges that have been caused this year, that the Bonhams Prize will be all the more valued. So thank you very much. As Jean mentioned, there are 2 prizes this year, and the Bonhams Prize is in its 2nd edition. This year there is a new prize, the Autonoma Residency Prize, which is sponsored by Laguna B through its Autonoma project. So Marcantonio Brandolini Dada, it would be great if you could perhaps explain a little bit more about the context to Autonoma and also a little bit more detail about the Autonoma Residency Prize this year.
Okay, well, thank you, Camilla. Hi, it's Marcantonio. I work for Laguna B since 2016, and it's a company that believes that product should go, the value of the product should go further than aesthetics and culture and tradition. But we believe that the product should bring a positive impact for generation to come. And the positive impact that we want to see while producing our projects is having change and better care of the environment and of our community. So with Laguna B in 2017, together with Alice de Santillana and Pilcher Glass School, we founded Autonoma, which is a project that aims to bring energy to the island of Murano through the contamination of an international glass blowing community, which is existing worldwide. And we want to be Murano kind of the point of reference for this community spread worldwide since centuries. And therefore, we created exchange programs in the last years, and we had students from 10 different countries and from different ages. So the relationship that we created together with Pelchak in the last years were really important for the growth of our company and for the growth of our vision. And therefore we decided to, together with Pilchak, to establish a prize that consists, as John was telling before, to offer the a residency at Pilchak in 2021, which is a really prestigious residency because it's for emerging artists, and it's 2 months period in this wonderful location in the north of Seattle, where you really feel the spirit of glass. And I mean, being there, I think it's mind-blowing in all the meaning. While I was there, the first time I went in 2016, I changed my vision in glass and my vision in Murano. And I think it would benefit any people to go there. I mean, the idea, the relationship with the Glass Week, it's a fantastic relationship, and I'm really happy to participate in the committee and to be surrounded by such amazing characters in the world of Murano, and especially you, Camilla. You are great, an amazing, important part of the festival, and therefore from the part of Laguna B, and therefore and Autonoma, we want to give a big thank you to you and to you all. And if there are any question, or if some of you haven't really understand what I'm saying, because I'm a bit stressed out, because it's not easy to speak to a camera, and I mean, but anyways, I'm always open for question, and I will answer. So, well, thank you. Thank you
so much, Marcantonio. That's incredibly kind, really, and we are so happy that Laguna B and Autonoma are involved in various ways this year. As Jean was mentioning, it's going to be possible to see this year, as part of the Venice Glass Week hub, we will have a hub for under 35-year-old artists and designers, which is new this year, and it's a fantastic opportunity. And thanks to Laguna B, those artists from locally and regionally, but also from around the world, are going to be able to exhibit in the prestigious Istituto Veneto di Scienze, Lettere ed Arti in Palazzo Loredan. And it's great because this year, the participating artists are from Venice and Murano, as well as further afield in Italy, such as Udine and Vicenza, but also we've got artists from Switzerland, Finland, the UK, the USA, and also Hong Kong, which I think is a really exciting mix. And it just goes to show that the festival increasingly is becoming a platform for dialogue between local artists and designers and furnaces and people in the glass world here, but also from abroad. So thanks to the Autonoma Residency Prize, one of those exhibitors in the Venice Glass Week hub for under 35s will have the chance to travel to Pilchuck, and we're really thrilled that is a novelty for this year. So yes, perhaps at this stage, David, it might be helpful just to turn back to you, and you might just touch on a couple of the extra special initiatives that are being organised for visitors who are going to be able to be here in Venice during the festival, maybe the Nexa tours in particular, and maybe the Art System Kids program would be great. Oh, David, we need your microphone.
Dan was saying before that when he came last year, he was taken around and he discovered how many corners, unknown corners there are in Venice and Murano, where glass is being designed, made, and conceived, and physically made. And that is, in a way, we've had him say that before he said it, because we organized this year through these Nexa tours, which will allow people they are official guided tours with official guides who know what they're talking about. And they will take small groups of people to visit furnaces which are not normally open to visitors, prestigious furnaces and so on. And there will be a kind of special treat that Nexa is organizing for whoever is interested in knowing the kind of hidden part of Murano. And the other thing that Camilla has mentioned is the art system kids program. As I said at the beginning, we are very, very keen on the didactic program. And so we have a special program this year organized by Art System. We have been using Art System at the Stanza del Vetro for 7 years now, and they have done an amazing job at involving children from the age of 4 to the age of 18 in everything we do. And we have every day whenever an exhibition is open, we have every day a group of school children, either very small or older, and they get really involved. And at the end of the session, they have special tables where they do some exercises to understand what, or try to recreate some piece of glass or whatever. And in this case, that will happen in Murano, in the furnaces, and I'm sure our kids will be over the moon in what they'll see. And we are very keen for this to become something that we repeat in all other festivals in the future.
Brilliant. Just a note that I've seen that a couple of people are writing questions, and I will very much get round to those questions at the end of this chat. If anyone else would like to type any questions, please do, and we'll be really, really happy to point. Either I'll be able to answer them if they're small technical questions, or if they're questions for individual members of the committee, please do, mention them now. I think it's worth pointing out, because obviously we've spoken generally about the festival in various senses, just to remind everybody that at this stage we're not announcing the final list of the events in the programme, but we're going to be putting those to you all in a second moment, at a second press conference at the end of August. And of course, all the initiatives will be released onto the website, theveniceglassweek.com. So you'll be absolutely able to check those out in due course. The website that has been made by our technical sponsor, Duva of Florence, and of course do follow all of our updates on the social media platforms that the festival has: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. I can see that one question that's come in, and it's absolutely, I'm sure, important and interesting for all of you from an international perspective, is regarding the situation on Murano at the moment. At the end of the conference, I'd like to ask David perhaps to touch on his perspective in relation to Venice. But I think at this stage, Luciano, it would be really great in your role as the president of the Murano Glass Consortium, if you could perhaps give a little update for everybody about how COVID-19 has affected Murano in particular and the furnaces, and perhaps what you see as the prospects for the coming months.
Grazie Camilla. Diciamo che seppure permane una situazione di difficoltà rispetto a un mese, 2 mesi fa, abbiamo visto dei leggeri progressi, quindi più di qualcuno ha riniziato a produrre, a lavorare, e speriamo che questi progressi mano a mano migliorino, insomma, ci sia un miglioramento di questa situazione.
Well, the situation is undoubtedly difficult, but in the last month or couple of months, we have noticed a little progress, which we hope will continue in the coming months.
Diciamo che se da un lato l'anima commerciale, soprattutto di chi commercia con Murano e Venezia, fa difficoltà a riprendere, perché non riprenderà finché non ci sarà un incremento del turismo, chi ha invece una vocazione più portata all'export, perché molti di noi esportano diciamo percentualmente molto di più di quello che vendono qua in loco, sicuramente questi hanno maggiori possibilità di avere una ripresa veloce, diciamo. Prego, Marta.
Well, on the one hand, the commercial art of the island is still waiting for tourism to come back. But on the other hand, the production sector based on export resumed its activities, and we must say that this part of the sector is surely benefiting, as we tend to export more than what we sell here locally, and therefore we hope that very soon tourism will start, and therefore we'll restart selling at a local level.
Diciamo che da tutto questo cosa possiamo pensare, cosa deve nascere? Deve nascere una grande opportunità per Murano, ma anche per Venezia, quella di cambiare e di far nascere una nuova Murano, un modello virtuoso che deve imparare forse anche dagli errori che abbiamo fatto nel passato per crearsi un nuovo e diverso futuro.
We expect that some new opportunities will arise from this situation, new opportunities for the island, an opportunity for change, to give a new birth to Murano and create a virtuous model. We also hope that we are going to learn from past mistakes, past errors, to create a new and different future.
Sì, diciamo che stiamo raccogliendo le aziende intorno a noi e con le aziende anche le istituzioni, quindi il Comune di Venezia, la Regione del Veneto, per appunto ricompattare tutta la filiera, sia quella commerciale che quella produttiva, con l'unico scopo appunto di ridisegnare in positivo il futuro di Murano.
Well, we're putting together companies and institutions, that means the municipality of Venice, the Veneto region, and so on, to put back together the whole supply chain, the whole chain, and therefore give new life to Murano.
E quindi nel frattempo non posso altro che dire che la The Venice Glass Week acquista un'importanza fondamentale e può esprimere in questo momento così difficile tutto il suo valore e il suo aiuto, che è quello di offrire al Veneto artistico di Murano una piattaforma di visibilità internazionale e allo stesso tempo dare un messaggio di vicinanza e sostegno all'isola di Murano e al vetro di Murano, ma anche alla città di Venezia.
In the meantime, I would like to say that today, more than ever, the Venice Glass Week acquires importance and can express in this difficult moment its full value, which is that of offering artistic glass a platform for visibility at international level, and at the same time express a message of solidarity and support to the island of Murano Glass, and obviously the city of Venice.
Sì, diciamo che resistendo e confermando il Festival del 2020, diciamo che agendo anche controcorrente, infatti molti degli eventi che c'erano a Venezia non saranno fatti, diciamo che proprio ha voluto dare un segnale forte di presenza, di resilienza, soprattutto per Murano e per il vetro.
Well, by resisting, the festival confirms its strength, and its the fact that it's deeply rooted at local level. It also states that it stands firm against the tide, as many events, many manifestations have been cancelled here in Venice, but we wanted to convey a strong message and to express our resilience.
E di questo aggiungo, voglio ringraziare tutto il comitato organizzativo della The Venice Glass Week, perché è stato sicuramente decisivo nel volere a tutti i costi fare questo festival di settembre 2020, e di questo devo ringraziare ancora di più, in particolar modo il dottor Landau, che è stato forse il più ostinato a volerlo in tutti i casi fare, proprio per dare questo forte significato di resistenza e di una Murano che ancora è viva e pulsante.
And in particular, I would like to thank the organizing committee of the Venice Glass Week, which has been fundamental to organize the 2020 festival. In particular, I would like to thank Mr. Landau, who strongly encouraged who's been willing the festival very strongly, and also he stressed the need to convey this strong message of Murano, and Murano that resists and is still strong.
And on that note, thank you so much, Luciano. It might be a good moment to mention the social media awareness campaign that has been launched in connection with the festival this year. There's a special hashtag this year, hashtag Mettiamoci il cuore, which is Italian, obviously, and it doesn't actually have a direct translation into English. I think the closest is we're putting our heart into it, and that's really the case. As Luciano said, as David said, the organizing committee led by David and all the members of the committee are really putting their heart into the festival this year. And we're also providing this platform, warmly inviting all of our participants to also take part in the festival, take advantage of the platform that's being provided in order that we can, reignite this passion for glass through the festival. The campaign has begun, and we've started off by inviting members of the committee. I know David, Jean, and Luciano have all taken part. What it involves is posting a short, maximum 30-second video on your social media platform, explaining in a few words why does glass make your heart beat? Why do you love glass? What is it about glass that makes your heart beat? And they've already been very well received on social media. We're also asking other curators, artists, glass masters from the world of glass to do the same. So, and we'd also invite anybody who would like to join to post a video on your own social media platform answering the simple question, why glass makes your heart beat? And if you tag at the Venice Glass Week, we will obviously share it on the Venice Glass Week social media platforms. I'm sure you can see from the logo behind a few of us, we've got the Venice Glass Week logo, but the logo was originally designed based on a very famous vase, a Bernini vase. This year, however, we've evidenced the heart within the Venice Glass Week logo, and really that's what's happening this year, is that we're all putting our heart into the festival, and we invite you to do the same in support of Murano at this definitely challenging time. At this stage, I know we've been speaking for a while now, and we're going to conclude and then ask a few questions. I must thank, in addition to obviously the organising committee and all our speakers, thank you so much for sharing your views and perspectives today. Our sponsors and partners, without whom the festival would not be able to take place: Bonhams, Nexa, Apice, Laguna B, Art System, and Duva. Especially in light of the challenging circumstances this year, your support for the festival, and through the festival, your support for the community of the glass community, the world of artistic glass, it's more important and valued than ever. Also, I would like to thank all of you for joining today from around the world. It's fantastic to see so many journalists from so many different parts of the world. Seriously hoping, of course, that this time next year you'll be able to join us in person, and of course any of you who might be able to make it in person during the festival will be absolutely thrilled to see you. So, as Jean has mentioned, at this stage we've just been able to give you an overview of the festival and the spirit behind this year's edition in particular. We will be sharing after this conference a press release and a press kit with details about what's been said today. And of course, as I said, in late August, a second conference will be held when the full list of events and initiatives and participants will be announced too. So in the meantime, perhaps I might just turn to a couple of the questions that have been shared on the chat. So starting from the top, Marina has asked when it will be possible to get a list of the digital events as part of the festival. That Marina will be shared with you very shortly. In the press release that will be shared with you after this event, we have an overview, but the full list will be announced in late August. in terms of another technical question that perhaps I can just cover off very quickly, Emma asked about what date the famous marathon, or it's not really a marathon, but the race around Murano, non-competitive race, that event is called La Bocca del Fuoco. It's the mouth of fire, and that's going to happen on Saturday, the 12th of September. And of course, we will share that information with you and more details about that in due course. And in terms of a list of the curatorial committee, I think we've already replied to say that absolutely we'll share with you the list of members of the committee after this call now. So Rachel Spence, who is still with us here, I think now. Rachel, thank you so much for your question. And especially pleased to know that you're thinking of hoping to to be with us in Venice in September. Obviously, that would be exactly, everybody crossed their fingers. And thank you so much for your kind words and constant support of the festival. I know Venice and Murano is particularly close to your heart, and we really appreciate your engagement with the festival every year. David, Rachel has a question for you. She says, given that Venice is confronting economic challenges at the moment, as mass tourism has obviously fallen away, do you have any thoughts about how the city might be able to start to rebuild itself in a way that could be sustainable for the long-term future? And then the second point is, how can Murano glass be part of that future? Thank you.
Well, that will take me about an hour and a half to answer. I have a 5-point plan, which I put to some politicians. What I would do if I were a politician. Thankfully, I'm not, and therefore I can pontificate freely without having to commit myself to anything. But I do have a 5-point plan, and I can explain it to you, Rachel, if you are really interested. But one of the points, well, to put it simply, the points are to turn Venice into culture capital of Europe, point 1, to turn it into the center for the study of the environment in the world, point 2, to help rebuild Murano glassmaking, point 3, and that is where it comes to glass. Point 4, a bit mad, which is to transform Marghera, which is an abandoned industrial site of not much use, notwithstanding the blatherings of politicians, into the largest marina for sailing and boats in the Mediterranean, and it would be an ideal place. We get protected by the lagoon, protected now by the Mose, which seems to be working, and it would be an ideal place to have a marvelous development that could give work to thousands of people. And point 5, to reintroduce total legality to Venice, which has been infiltrated by all kinds of mafias, mostly of a small kind, but where lots of people live in kind of slavery, really. I mean, little people washing dishes in restaurants and carrying luggage from the station and so on. So these are my 5 points. But point 3 is making sure that Murano gets enough help to become a beacon for the study of glassmaking, and particularly for an environmental reassessment of glassmaking, so that there is a tremendous amount of energy which is wasted in Murano from gas and furnaces that are on 24 hours a day, and then throw in the air a lot of heat that is wasted, and all that should be recovered and help to physically energize Murano and Venice. And this is just a small part of what Murano can do if its scope is opened up to, for instance, physical and chemical research into new colors, into new substances that can make glass special and different. Murano has always thrived on experimentation. It has had several enormous crises in its history of 1,000 years. There have been long periods where Murano glassmaking had almost disappeared, and then it came back with a vengeance. And it came always, every time it came back with a vengeance when new techniques, new experimental approach was entertained and used, and this should be the case again. So Murano needs a big push ahead, and I hope that, for instance, the European Commission will understand that Murano is part and parcel of Venice, and Venice is part and parcel of Europe.
David, thank you so much for that fantastic answer, which was extremely comprehensive. And I'm sure that, yes, Rachel, if you have other questions or if you'd like to pick up on that fantastically ambitious but doable plan, David will be happy to speak to you afterwards, as would all of our committee members. If anybody has any more specific detailed questions that they'd like to put to the committee or to have a one-on-one call, we'd be really happy to put you in touch. A brief question that Emma has also asked. She has picked, Emma Park has said, hi Emma, thank you. Luciano mentioned during his discussion that this year the Venice Glass Week will emphasize how Murane's glass is a source of pride for Italians, for Venice and further afield. One question is, do we anticipate that the audience, the face-to-face audience this year, will be primarily Italian? And I think the answer to that, perhaps that Luciano, Marta, you might be able to just ask that question to Luciano if he sees the audience being.
Mi sembra di aver in sostanza capito, grazie Camilla.
Benissimo.
Allora, diciamo che il festival era stato progettato inizialmente in una maniera e dopo è stato ridisegnato in un'altra, in buona parte, perché certe attività abbiamo preferito sospenderle o rimandarle al 2021.
The festival was designed in a way, but then we changed it. We changed it for the most part of it, because we thought that some activities had to be suspended or left for the next edition in 2021.
Ci siamo subito immaginati che ci sarebbe stato un problema di venire a Venezia, raggiungere Venezia, ma il problema lo è principalmente per gli stranieri, come in parte lo può essere anche per gli italiani. Quindi sicuramente diciamo che ci siamo dovuti diciamo, abbiamo dovuto ripensarlo pensando che potremmo avere un pubblico più rivolto verso il pubblico italiano rispetto a quello straniero. Cioè, diciamo che è stata una scelta diciamo, portata dagli eventi, da quello che più che voluta, diciamo, portata dagli eventi che sono successi e che stanno accadendo.
Immediately when the emergency started, we imagined that reaching Venice would have been a problem for many people, especially the international part of the audience and in some parts the Italian audience. So we had to change it, to rethink it for an Italian public. So it's targeted more for an Italian public than a foreign public. But this is a choice that was influenced by the events. It's not something that we did out of our own will.
Ecco perché, per concludere, diciamo che abbiamo fortemente ripensato il festival anche in chiave digital. Lo abbiamo sempre fatto, però quest'anno sicuramente lo abbiamo potenziato e sarà molto più, diciamo, l'offerta da quel punto di vista sarà molto più ampia.
And in conclusion, we reorganized the festival, also considering some digital events. This is something that we have always done, but this year it's going to play a wider role in this festival, in this edition.
Thank you very much.
Grazie.
I think also it might just be worth adding that the organising committee actually sees it as an opportunity to make ourselves concentrate on offering our festival to local and regional audiences as well. You know, it's always the way when you have something under your nose, you perhaps start to take it for granted. I think we're really excited to be able to reignite the interest and the passion amongst local audiences, whether it be through the children's programme offered by Art System, or the tours, the guided tours offered by Nexa, so that people who are from Venice, who maybe don't necessarily think to go to Murano, it's an opportunity for them to reclaim the pride in Murano glass. Those tours, though, they'll be in Italian, but they'll also be in English, because we actually, it's true that realistically audiences may well be principally Italian, but actually, as David was saying at the beginning, it's so interesting seeing how your ear starts to pick up on different languages, and now it's not just Italian, it's not just German, it's French too, and more, and English too. So actually, as David said, there's quite a long time between now and September, and I think perhaps people around the world have been so seduced by these images of beautiful Venice at the moment, which is looking more lovely than ever. Perhaps taking the opportunity to come during the festival to take advantage of it, obviously given the fact that their countries will need to allow it. But so yes, locally we have lots of events that have been targeted for Italians, but also, as Luciano said, the digital aspect, whether it be the fact that we're doing these online demonstrations, which I highly recommend you to join next Monday if you can on the Instagram channel, but also the conversations on glass, which is a classic example of how we've had to slightly adapt the festival. Originally, we thought to do these conversations as conferences physically in the festival, and we were going to have them based in Venice, and we were going to invite people to participate as speakers based on the fact that they might be here physically or want to be here. We've actually seen it as an opportunity to widen our horizons, and the speakers who will be in those participating in those conferences are going to be from all around the world. And luckily, across our committee, and especially thanks to L'Estanze del Vetro with its wonderful American Studio Glass exhibition, which is the latest in an extraordinary list of events that have taken place at L'Estanze over the past years. We have great contacts and are putting together a superb list of 6 digital appointments, which everybody will be able to participate in through the festival's social media channels. So what was initially a frustration and a worry that people wouldn't necessarily be able to be here to participate as speakers is now turned into to be actually a very positive thing. So yes, we're trying to cater to both those who are here and those who cannot be physically here, and all these initiatives are going to be shared with you in due course over the next weeks and during the press conference that'll be in late August. So just checking the chat, and I think we've managed to cover all the questions now. I'm conscious that this has been quite a long discussion, but hopefully a useful one to give you a sense of the spirit and the mission of this year's festival in this very particular year. So thank you all so much. Thank you to our speakers. Thank you to all of you who are listening. And yeah, please do follow up after this with any other questions that you might have, and we'll be very happy to share with you as best we can. And look forward to seeing you either physically or virtually in September. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.